Welcome to our weekly roundup of key business developments in Sri Lanka. I'm Nishani Figuera. Let's first take a look at the main stories for this week. Policy rates reduced. Prime Minister in China receives support for debt restructuring. Sri Lankan Airlines expects a surge in profits. In our main story this week, on Monday at the second Monetary Board meeting of the year, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka reduced policy rates by 50 basis points. Standing deposit facility rates and standing lending facility rates were reduced to 8.5% and 9.5% respectively. The regulatory authority noted that the decision was taken assessing domestic and international macroeconomic developments to maintain inflation at 5% over the medium term, enabling the economy to continue its growth momentum. Since June 2023, the central bank has cut rates by 700 basis points. Meanwhile, according to MCM Partners, a Hong Kong-based asset management firm, Sri Lanka is expected to see $250 million worth of private equity investments as the nation is among the top destinations for Asian private equity. This boost in sentiment comes following the recent economic gains the country made from the IMF program. According to Bloomberg News, global investors and Sri Lankan officials are expected to commence negotiations this week to $12 billion in defaulted global bonds. The news agency said discussions will be led by a steering committee consisting of bondholders who will consider a proposal from the government to restructure the overseas debt, adding that the objective is to expedite a deal, especially since Sri Lanka is scheduled to hold presidential elections later this year. Despite many media agencies reporting on these developments, the government did not disclose any details. In March, Sri Lanka President Ranil Wickremesinghe indicated a debt moratorium until end 2027 and extending repayment until 2042. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, who is currently on an official visit to China, received assurances from his Chinese counterpart Li Xiang that China would assist Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process continuously and develop its economy. The Prime Minister also extended assistance to develop Katunayake International Airport, Hambantota Port and the Colombo Port City. Merchandise exports in February grew to a modest $984 million, up 0.17% from a year earlier. Exports seem to be picking up as Sri Lanka's main export partners start to recover from prolonged recessionary conditions amid geopolitical tensions. In the month, apparel exports fell 2% to $421 million, while tea, rubber and coconuts saw significant increases of over 15 to 25%. Exports to the United States, Sri Lanka's single largest export destination, rose 8% from a year earlier to $250 million. Sri Lanka is to increase the minimum wage per month to 17,500 rupees following cabinet approval. This marks an increase of 5,000 rupees from the previous 12,500 rupees set under the Wage of Workers Act. According to Ashok Pathrage, chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines, the airlines is expected to see a surge in profits amid significant inflow of tourists. He also stated that the airline is expected to see improvements in top and bottom line growth following the acquisition of additional aircraft next month. Earlier this month, the government absorbed $510 million of outstanding debt owned by the airlines and was given 6 months to show operational progress. In our weekly tourism update, during the first 24 days of March, over 160,000 tourists arrived in the country. However, daily arrivals fell to 6,794 from the 7,600 recorded in February. Since the beginning of 2024, the number of arrivals has reached over 589,000, raising optimism of meeting the government's target of 2.3 million visitors by the end of the year. India was a primary source market, followed by Russia and Germany. Let's take a look at the weekly movement of the all-share price index and the S&P SL 20 index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all maturities marginally decreased for the first time in 4 weeks. Bids amounting to 185 billion rupees were received, of which 80 billion were accepted. The Sri Lankan rupee continued to appreciate against the dollar this week, with the central bank's indicative mid-spot rate ranging around 303 to 305 rupees. And with that, we wind up for this week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for regular updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.